The Pokédex, an electronic device or mobile app in the Pokémon Sword and Shield games that contains information about the fantastic creatures known as Pokémon. Each Pokémon has a written Pokédex entry that varies from game to game. Have you ever wondered though what genre these dex entries are written in? Today, we'll explore this question as it relates to the mainline game continuity. We'll be focusing on a single iconic Pokémon as an example, Cubone. Cubone's most defining characteristic is its skull helmet. As various Pokédex entries tell us, this is actually the skull of its dead mother. That's really morbid for a children's game, but I digress. The problem is though that this makes no sense. Ever since the Generation 2 games, players have been able to breed Pokémon, including Cubone. These Cubone and Marowak mothers retain their heads, and we can imagine their skulls, after having a single or even multiple Cubone babies. TV Tropes lists this issue as an example of gameplay and story segregation, which is, quote, inconsistency in how things work or behave between the gameplay and storyline sections of a video game. But what if there was a way to resolve this inconsistency? Some have theorized that Cubone's Pokédex entry must be referring to the Cubone from the Generation 1 games, which lost his mother due to Team Rocket's cruelty. Even dex entries as recent as Ultra Sun and Moon mention the idea of it wearing its mother's skull. Maybe they're on the right track though, and these dex entries are talking about a single Cubone. You see, Cubone's Pokédex entries seem to me like an etiology. To put it simply, an etiology is a myth of origins. Many a myth throughout the ages has told the story of a single entity, a story that is supposed to explain the origin of its kind, or even a trait that all of its kind has. For example, the Lenape story of the Rainbow Crow tells us how a crow carried fire from the heavens to save other animals from the cold, his colorful feathers becoming burnt and black, the smoke turning his voice rough and coarse. There's also the Greco-Roman story of Arachne, a great weaver who was turned into a web-spinning spider. Then there's the Genesis story, which says that a serpent's legs were taken away as punishment for deceiving Adam and Eve. Each of these is a myth about a single being that explains why all of their kind, crows, spiders, snakes, are the way they are. During my playthrough of Pokemon Sword, I found some Pokédex entries that seem to support this idea.
Ninetales, the fox Pokemon. It is said to live 1,000 years, and each of its tails is loaded with supernatural powers. Steelix, the iron snake Pokemon. It is said that if an onyx lives for more than 100 years, its composition changes to become diamond-like. Bronzong, the bronze bell Pokemon. Some believe it to be a deity that summons rain clouds. When angered, it lets out a warning cry that rings out like the tolling of a bell.
Based on these, the Pokédex, rather than being a collection of scientific truths about a Pokémon, seems to be an encyclopedia of folk beliefs about them. And that is what I believe the story of Cubone wearing its mother's skull is, an etiology about Cubone, explaining why it wears a skull on its head. But what do you think? Do you agree? Do you know any other dex entries that could support this idea? Or do you disagree and have another idea? Let me know in the comments below. I've been Ken Kwame, thanks for watching, and see you next time.